Hi, it's Katrina! From cities built into the sides of mountains to armies of stone soldiers hidden away for centuries, here are 10 of the most amazing ancient ruins in the world. Number 10. The Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China is known worldwide as one of the most impressive archaeological achievements of all time. However, it wasn't all built at once. Different parts of ancient China constructed different sections of walls, which were then combined by Qin Shi Huang, the first official Chinese emperor. After this, dynasties continued to combine and expand the wall into the one that we know and love today. Also known as the Long Wall, it was started over 2,300 years ago. While its primary purpose was for defense and to help prevent invasion, the wall also helped to regulate trade along the Silk Road. This must have been effective because there's a lot of wall there. The Ming Dynasty alone made around 5,500 miles of walling, but one archaeological survey found that if you add every part of the wall together, you have 13,171 miles of wall in total. Given that they weren't using contemporary construction techniques, that's a sign of some remarkable architectural prowess. But how well did it keep people out? The primary threat to the Chinese Empire were nomadic herders and warriors from the north, such as the Mongols, that would launch terrifying raids on the bordering states and steal whatever they wanted. As China expanded under the Qing Dynasty, the Great Wall became unnecessary and instead became a symbol of strength and is recognized as the world's largest military structure. If you wanted to visit the Great Wall now, you might be surprised to know that about 30% of the wall dating back to the Ming Dynasty is gone. That means that about 1,243 miles have disappeared due to erosion and damage over the years. If you are looking for even older parts of the wall, most of those sections have turned to rubble. Number 9. Stonehenge. The granddaddy of all ancient ruins, Stonehenge holds a special place in the human imagination. Made sometime between 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, Stonehenge is an icon of prehistoric English history. It is made of a number of large standing stones, each of which weighs some 25 tons. How did prehistoric humans make this structure, and why would they do it in the first place? Conspiracies abound, but evidence points to it being a sacred religious site for early people. However, no one is certain. There are also plausible theories which would have it that Stonehenge was a place of burial, or that it was intended as a pilgrimage destination, or perhaps all of these things combined. Each of these theories have strong evidence backing them up. We do know that it's placed in the middle of a number of ancient archaeological areas dating back to the Stone and Bronze Ages, which suggests that Stonehenge was a pretty important place. Every year, new things are discovered that give us insight into our Neolithic ancestors. Just this year, a ring of at least 20 prehistoric shafts in pits were discovered at Durrington, near Stonehenge, that date back to 2500 BC. Their exact purpose is unclear, but in the words of archaeologist Richard Bates, clearly sophisticated practices demonstrate that the people were so in tune with natural events to an extent that we can barely conceive in the modern world we live in today. These pits or shafts most likely served as a type of sacred boundary of the site. And now for number 8, but first, be sure to subscribe if you are new here and let me know which ancient site you would like to visit in the comments below. Number 8. Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is one of the most revered archaeological sites in the world. Built high above sea level atop the Andes mountain range, it stands as a testament to the intelligence and ingenuity of the Inca Empire, or perhaps the people that came before them. To date, it's the most sought-after spot in Peru, and it also earned a spot among the new 7 wonders of the world. But even more than that, there is still a great deal of mystery surrounding its purpose and discovery. Machu Picchu is a citadel, which is a fortress-like structure, and many researchers think that it was meant as a big estate for Pachacuti, an Inca emperor. But some also think that it could have been a secret religious place. There is no record of why this place was built or how. Given that it's placed so deeply into the Andes Mountains, it's no wonder that when the Spanish invaded the Incas, they weren't even able to find it. Instead, the Incas just abandoned ship in the early 16th century, leaving Machu Picchu relatively unknown until it was rediscovered in 1911, still well intact. An explorer was looking for a lost city called Vilcabamba and instead came upon Machu Picchu. Incredibly, archaeologists think that around 60% of the construction was made underground, which made it very sturdy. The site we see was sculpted out of 2 small peaks, moving stone and dirt to create a flat space. Remember that they had no wheels, no draft animals to carry heavy cargo, and no iron tools. There are still many things to be discovered here, and trails and ruins are believed to still be hidden underneath the heavy clouds. Have you ever been to Machu Picchu? Let me know in the comments below. Number 7. Bagan. Bagan is an ancient city in Myanmar, formerly Burma, that's been classified as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and for good reason. Between the 9th and 13th centuries, Bagan served as the capital of the Kingdom of Pagan. At its peak, around the 12th century, it housed almost 10,000 elaborate Buddhist structures, such as shrines, temples, and pagodas. Sadly, most of these have gone into decay over the past 1,000 years. Over the years, the city was ruined by constant invasion by the Mongols and natural disasters such as earthquakes, but there are still around 2,000 there to this day, and they don't disappoint. From the sky, you can't miss the grand array of religious structures peppering Bagan's landscape. If you're able to visit them, you'll find them decorated with beautiful depictions of the Buddha, all built in an elaborate architectural style that seems at once ancient and contemporary. Some of the most impressive temples include the Ananda Temple, a famous cruciform structure, or perhaps take a look at the Dhammayangyi, the biggest temple in Bagan. It is considered one of the richest archaeological sites in Asia. If you visit at the right time, you can see the site from a hot air balloon. Number 6. The Terracotta Army. When Chinese workmen were building a well in 1974, they came upon a shocking discovery. They had uncovered the remnants of thousands of ancient terracotta soldiers buried under the ground. This accidental discovery is recognized as one of the greatest discoveries of modern times. These now famous figures are located in Shanxi, a city in Xi'an, China, and they were built for the first Chinese emperor Qin Shi Huang around the 3rd century BC, the same one that united much of the Great Wall. He is famous for unifying the entire civilized world as he knew it and tried to find the key to immortality. These soldiers aren't tiny either. They're effectively life-sized, all with their own special characteristics and facial features. Archaeologists believe they still haven't uncovered all of them because there are so many, but you can go see 3 of the excavated parts for yourself. They're thought to have been built to protect the emperor into the afterlife. This site also contains more than just soldiers. Recent digs show that there is practically an entire replica of the court that surrounded the emperor during his lifetime, with animals like birds, real sacrificed horses, and other members of the court, such as musicians and acrobats. These discoveries help to paint a picture of what life was like for the emperor, who conquered many warring states as well as his entire system of government. The emperor's tomb lies in a nearby hill, but it has never been excavated out of respect and concern about preserving the integrity of the area and artifacts. Number 5. Ta Prohm. The Ta Prohm Temple is nestled deep inside of the Cambodian jungle, and it has the wear and tear to attest to it. However, that's ultimately what gives this unique temple its charm. It was made in 1186 AD by the great Khmer Empire, which lasted into the 1400s and was originally intended as a Buddhist monastery/school. However, eventually this empire dissolved, and people living in the area abandoned this once great temple. That's when the elements took over. For centuries, Ta Prohm stood still, decaying and becoming overtaken by the intertwining roots of the Cambodian jungle. The structures were built without mortar, so the stones were only loosely held together, which meant that the roots could run through them pretty easily. So it now looks like Ta Prohm is a strange mix between nature taking over and human intentionality. It's in a class all its own. Strangely enough, Ta Prohm is actually well maintained. If it weren't, then it wouldn't be able to stand upright. The trees would just continue to take over the structure, eventually toppling it. This temple became much more popular after it appeared in the movie Lara Croft Tomb Raider. I would love to explore here, wouldn't you? Let me know in the comments below. Number 4. Pyramids of Giza. I couldn't talk about ancient ruins without throwing some love to the pyramids at Giza. They're some of the most enigmatic ruins on the planet. Due to their popularity, it might seem like we know all there is to know about them, but these pyramids are still shrouded in mystique. While we do know that they were intended to serve as tombs for Egyptian emperors, we're still not quite sure how these gigantic structures were built. And every year we find out something new. The Great Pyramid of Giza, which is 481 feet tall, served as the final resting place of the pharaoh Khufu. It was listed as one of the original 7 wonders of the world, and it's the oldest entry on that list. However, the complex itself has structures built in commemoration of many other Egyptian figures, such as Khafre, Queen Khenskhous I, and Menkaure. Most of these places were left with fancy artifacts for these rulers to take into the next life. Apparently, I've heard that you can go inside of the 3 pyramids for yourself, at least a small part, although due to their popularity, they're generally pretty busy. However, you don't want to miss seeing this complex because it remains one of the most impactful archaeological sites in the world. Number 3. Pompeii. In 79 AD, the great volcano Mount Vesuvius erupted and left destruction in its wake. In particular, it annihilated one of the greatest Roman cities in the world, Pompeii. However, this led to one of the great contradictions of history. Even though the volcanic eruption eliminated all life from Pompeii, the cooling ash preserved everything as well, which means that the city remained perfectly frozen in time after it met its fate. For over 1,500 years, Pompeii was left alone. In fact, people probably couldn't find it, given that it was completely covered in volcanic ash. But then in 1748, a group of people finally found and began excavating the city, revealing all kinds of tragic and beautiful things. Since everything was preserved, the site at Pompeii stands as a snapshot of what Roman life was like at the time of its demise. Over the years, Pompeii has also revealed countless treasures. Most recently, 2 houses were excavated that had colorful frescoes, murals, and mosaics of mythological figures. Pompeii has also been subjected to earthquakes, looting, mass tourism, and vandalism, so there has been a massive undertaking to save the city, managed by the Great Pompeii Project, funded by the EU to keep Pompeii off the UNESCO World Heritage in Danger list. National Geographic reports it is one of the longest continually excavated sites in the world. Despite all this work, about a third of Pompeii's 170 acres remain unexplored. Number 2. Ellora Caves. The Ellora Caves are much more than your average caves. Inside, there is a lush array of temples and sanctified areas with intricate associated artwork. The caves themselves are located outside of Aurangabad, a city in Maharashtra, India. They were built with a particular religious purpose in mind. Hindus, Jains, and Buddhists all work together to carve the space out, and there are temples for each religion. However, the most well-known part of the cave system is the Kailasa Temple. One researcher called it the climax of the rock-cut phase of Indian architecture. It's the biggest space inside the temple, and perhaps the most intricate. It's dedicated to Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction. The temple itself is over 100 feet tall, and there are a number of panels which have texts from the traditional Indian epics, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. Kailasa is the biggest of the caves, but the other Jain and Buddhist temples are equally astounding. Many of the caves were built at different times, corresponding to different rulers. The great diversity of architecture and thematic material makes the Ellora Cave some of the most magnificent ruins on Earth. Number 1. Petra. Some millennia ago, nomads sculpted an entire city completely into the side of a giant cliff. Not only is this an impressive feat in its own right, but it's incredible to think that nomads accomplished this before the development of contemporary tools. Petra is situated in between the Red Sea and the Dead Sea in the country of Jordan, so it probably won't be the only thing you see if you decide to travel to its location. In fact, Petra is so miraculous that it's been classified among the new 7 wonders of the world. Researchers think that it was finished around 312 BC, and it was the center of the Nabatean civilization, one of the greatest ancient Arab civilizations in antiquity. Given their prominence, at one point in history, Petra was filled to the brim with markets and plots of land. Now, if you decide to visit, you'll travel through old tombs and worship areas in the cliff. Archaeologists say that only around 15% of Petra has been investigated thoroughly, so there's likely still much to be discovered in its interior. But what has been discovered is jaw-dropping. Just consider the treasure that serves as Petra's entrance. It's a beautiful testament to the people who once lived inside. You might even recognize it from the movies that have been made there, including The Mummy Returns and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Thanks for watching! Let me know if you'd like to see a part 2. So many amazing ancient ruins, so little time. Which site was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up for more. See you soon! Bye!